Kind of have an interesting Raven today. This week's Raven is brought to you by Lady Liz of House Ives. And it's just kind of a short one. It has to do with the pink letter, and it somewhat kind of ties in with I think it's weird, Sir Matt, right? But every time we talk about anything Winds of Winter related, it doesn't matter if we start in freaking Dorne. You and I somehow end up at, with Stannis in the battle at Winterfell, trying to figure out where we go from there.
It's just the block that controls the whole thing, I feel like.
Yeah, it's a lot. It is a lot. So okay, Lady Liz, thanks for this. Here we go. There's been so much discussion on who wrote the pink letter. I believe it was, in fact, Ramsay. I think that Stannis filled the lakes with holes to weaken it. The Manderleys have already been instructed to let the Frey, the Frey group, right, lead on. Not hard when you have someone like Hostine who, quote, doesn't fear a bit of snow, leading them on. And actually, Hostine is very kind of bullheaded. He's angered a little bit and is just kind of bull rushing forward. 10 Freys ride into the rotted ice, and Stannis works with the Manderleys. The Manderleys take the sword. The Manderleys take the sword back with word that they have won to lull the bastard into a false sense of security. So Ramsay gets ballsy, and there we are with the pink letter. I love your show, all of your different perspectives. What do you guys think about this? Is it a viable theory, Lady Liz? And really, so what Lady Liz is kind of saying is that there is some type of communication, whether it's Crowfoot or whoever who has gotten in contact with, and somehow the Manderleys are already in alliance with Stannis. And I, whether they already are or not, Sir Matt, I think the Freys will lead the charge, and I think the Manderleys are allowing them to do so. Just because I don't know, if the Freys think that's going to win them more honor or win them more reward or whatever, they're taking it and they're rushing forward and they're going to rush into this trap. Manderley's going to play it safe on the outskirts, and then once the Freys are kind of attacked, it may be that they are bloodied in a major way. You could even have some exchanging of garb. Some of the Manderley men might take on Frey uniforms, or even some of Stannis' men, right? And then you go back with the sword. So really what we're talking about here is the idea that the pink letter maybe, and the people have thought and theorized about this quite a bit, is that it's written that at the time that it's read to us, that the events that have taken place where Stannis is, that battle at the lakes, has already happened, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, yeah, I get where you're going. The question becomes, Stannis, who fell for Tyrion's trap, and then Tyrion didn't even know, but Tywin showing up at the Battle of the Blackwater. It's like Stannis has already fell into an enormous trap, right? Once before. Yep. Does he fall? Does he now get to set a trap, or does he fall into a trap? Again becomes the issue.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, here, that's an interesting point. Because it could be where the trap takes place. I think there is a trap, because so many people have thought so strongly about this idea that there's the holes in the lakes, the werewood, Theon getting his name back. A lot of significance happening here, and it looks like Stannis is going to prevail. Seemingly, a lot of people are theorizing that he's going to win here. And that is exactly maybe what George wants us to think, is that he's going to win. And then what we don't expect is that Ramsay has also led another host in an opposite direction and will could possibly pin Stannis' men down. I don't know. Or the other trap could be laid in that bringing that sword in, or they think they've tricked the Boltons, and really they have not. They show up in there and then they're slaughtered. Like the Manderleys are taken out. You know what I mean? They come back with the flaming sword saying, hey, look, we got Stannis, we got whatever. We bring him in, trying to do like kind of a Trojan horse style attack or setup, and it backfires badly, which would be interesting to see. Would suck. actually. It
Yeah.
would suck. I mean, but like that's
Yeah.
what George does to us as sometimes, and so it wouldn't surprise me. I don't know how it's going to come to that, and there's probably some line, and I'd have to go maybe super ultra analyze it. We do have another Raven later on where someone's asking us kind of what's up with Barbary Dustin, and I think they might have some of the keys to what we're talking about.
I mean, sometimes it's with Stannis, it's so difficult because I think we all, and maybe it's the fans too. Stannis the Manus, right? Is Stannis actually as amazing of a battle commander as we think he is? Or do we just pump him up sometimes? And obviously, I feel like I think it's like I feel like as a community, we've made Stannis out to be such a badass that even myself, I feel like what I'm saying right now is blasphemous. You know what I mean? But I mean, you know, you got to think about it, right? I mean, we know that at least at one point in his life, he needed the help of Ned Stark riding down to save him, and the Onion Knight, right? You know, Davos the Onion Knight to save his bacon, right? So we know he needed that. He gets wrecked at the Battle of the Blackwater. Then before that, he doesn't even actually take on Renly, right? I mean, had he actually fought Renly, he probably would have lost because Renly had an enormous, and had an enormous army that was like, I mean, they describe it was so much bigger than Stannis's. So without the help of Melisandre, and so that's not really winning a great battle. The only other battle we really see, air quote, right? We really see him actually win is when he goes beyond the wall and, like shuts down Mance Rayder, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah.
But again, you're talking about men in armor and plate armor and cavalry going against wildlings. So it's hard. It's hard to really kind of judge him actually as a battle commander, other than just his personality seems like it. And it's just so tricky, right? With Stannis, because then sometimes I think, well, he's buying into everything Melisandre's telling him, and that's probably not true, right? Of what's going on. He's not Azor Ahai. It's not Lightbringer, but he's buying into it. So here we think about it, and you go to the other side and you think Ramsay, everything we see about Ramsay is pretty legit. I mean, to be honest, I mean, he's a really evil guy. I mean, look at what he does to Theon. Even, thinking he lets Theon think, hey, like, you got out and all of this stuff, and then only to torture him even more. I mean,
well, and actually, so what Barbary Dustin says too is, and I know there's this whole bit where Ramsay wants to kill his father, possibly that whole situation, but Roose Bolton is, even if those two, even at this time, if Ramsay and Roose are working together, scheming up something, and Ramsay follows what his father wants him to do, because it's just treachery, with Ramsay. He's just a treacherous bastard, right? Okay, call him what he is. And like he does things that I don't think Roose. I'm not so sure. When Roose is south fighting for King Robb and was still loyal, and Robb hadn't committed, hadn't taken a wife. He's fighting for the North. Then he sees an opportunity and he takes it. He allies with House Frey and the Lannisters when Jaime Lannister is there at Harrenhal. Big talk, big negotiation. And understands that Robb is in a very vulnerable spot. Now, I kind of think, and Barbary says this, that's the guy to watch. I don't know what he's up to or what he's scheming. He's sitting here. He's safe. And that's what, Stannis says, like, it's unwise. It's actually unwise to come out here and meet Stannis in the open in this terrain. All you had to do was stay in Winterfell and you win, essentially. Like, they don't have the food or the survival, whatever. They don't have what it takes. They're hoping on that secret passage, that secret way in, send somebody in, open up the gates, that kind of stuff, then allow them in, an attack kind of from the inside, kind of what Dany does. And, when she sends in, So
I definitely don't think that what happened in the show, which again, I know some people are like, we don't like that you guys use the show, but the show is at least some sort of semi good source. I mean, obviously Gur was involved with it to some degree, and so whether it's 100%
who's going to be king, it tells you who's going to be king.
Yeah, I mean, whether it's whether it's 100% accurate or 5% accurate, on some level, Gur gave them instructions on this is the way things could go.
Yeah,
but I mean, in the show, I mean, Stannis doesn't even really fight Ramsay because he burns Shireen to get through the storm, and then he basically Ramsay just torches everything at night, and then he just shows up the next day and takes on like all of Stannis's 10 men who are still standing there. I don't think the battle's going to go that way. What might be interesting is if the battle we see in the show as the Battle of the Bastards is actually the battle between Stannis and Renly, in which Stannis gets enough men to surround Stannis and then squeeze him in.
Yeah,
And instead of the Knights of the Vale showing up, Stannis just dies. That could be one way that they go with it, and then you have a different battle of the bastards, because again, as we've talked about a lot, so many more pieces have to happen to even get remotely close to that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, get remotely close to that, like
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't in the show. It does, and again, whatever it is, what it is. I'm gonna say it in the show. When the Knights of the Vale show up, it makes sense that there's a connection, that there's a family connection between Sansa, and their cousin, and them, coming up to help Jon. I mean,
you don't have any of that.
Cousin. Yeah, no, with Stannis, I don't know. What's the desire other than to go save? I mean, if you're trying to save Arya and you think Stannis has a good advantage, you're going to come up and help him, or whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
risky.
yeah,
it's a risky.
Right. I mean, so you're gonna have to move Stannis out of the way, and then get to a Battle of the Bastards, and then get Sansa. Maybe, I mean, we've talked about this. Maybe Sansa hears about it, and so the Knights of the Vale just show up. It's obviously not going to be Sansa showing up at Castle Black to talk to Jon, and all of this, because she's nowhere close. And so it might be Jane Poole, but then that doesn't get you anything. So yeah, I mean, so we've gone over this a lot of times. We've talked about the possibility, hey, maybe Stannis wins, and and we talked about the idea of Stannis ending up becoming the Night King, for all we freaking know. If they end up marching south first. So who knows?
Yeah, it could go so many different ways. One that would be, I mean, here's how crazy of a crackpot theory you can toss out there. Stannis wins. Allies, air quote, with the Manderleys, takes Winterfell. He would welcome, you would think, Rickon Stark right in. But if something does go wrong, and you have, if somehow Rickon is killed and is on his way with Shaggy Dog, whether Stannis takes it or not, you still could have a boy king of the North riding with his direwolf again. You know what I mean? You could have people rallying behind him, that kind of thing. I mean,
and keep this piece in mind. We talked about today in the reread, the idea of Brienne. So is Brienne going to get there? The only way I think only way I think you get remotely close is maybe this happened. Maybe Jon gets resurrected and decides to go to Hardhome, right? Because he's like, well, I'm going to go save Tormund and those guys. But then again, we haven't had a Night King or any of that stuff yet. So who freaking knows? But maybe a Raven arrives from them or something, and they're like, hey, or maybe somebody runs back and hey, we get
somebody
stuff going on.
Runs back.
Well,
the show, that's what I'm saying.
Gendry runs back. So who freaking knows?
Yeah.
I mean, it's you're out there running.
He's on a dead sprint.
He's on a dead sprint who freaking knows? Ridiculous. So I mean, who knows? But maybe then Jon goes to Hardhome, then comes back, because maybe they execute people who killed him right then before Jon leaves or something.
Yeah.
And so then when Jon comes back, maybe Sansa has showed up with the Knights of the Vale, looking for Jon, and just trying to get the help of the Night's Watch. Okay, Jon's dead. Now we're gonna go take on Ramsay, who's defeated Stannis, but I just don't see Stannis dying off screen. I mean, Stannis, kind in a way dies off screen in the show, and that they just don't show us his death. But you do know, I mean, you at least get Brienne saying, hey, it's over. So the only way I think you get remotely close is if Stannis gets bogged down by the storm, and that takes a while. Right, like it. Maybe we get a chapter of him marching or something. You know what I mean? Oh, we're in the storm. We got to figure out something to do. Decide to burn Shireen, and that's how you get somewhat close to there. But again, there's just so many other players, because who knows? Euron could show up. Young Griff is out there. I mean, there's just so many other pieces.
Well,
And so it just get back to where we're at in here. When it comes to the pink letter, whether Ramsay wrote it or not, I don't think that. I think we're gonna see those events. I don't think that. I don't think we're not gonna see Stannis first friendly, like what the pink letter would lead you to believe if you were to take it at face value, which to me makes it believe like maybe Ramsay didn't write it, because I feel like Ramsay would just tell the truth. So
yeah.
I don't know, man. It is to me still the big mystery of Winter.
Yeah, for sure. And the thing is one thing I like about what Lady Liz said is that it is very likely that this is something that the events have already happened. We still will see them, but yet we're hearing about them before we've seen them. And I that has happened with Dany. You know what I mean? Like, we've seen the events and then she's heard it, or she hears about it and then, wow, I guess it's only ever happened the way in which we see it and then Dany hears about it. So now the opposite will be happening, which is we hear about it and then we're going to go watch it happen. That is that's different, and I think
maybe it's the prologue. Maybe the prologue just tells us, like, maybe the prologue is somebody, because the prologue sometimes are just random people.
Yeah.
Well, maybe the prologue is somebody who's walking over the battle, and we see these dead bodies, and maybe Stannis does. Maybe Stannis somehow survives and lingers on, and then we end up finding, Brienne ends up killing him in a different way. So
yeah. I don't know. It's all cool. I mean, to take it back to Not a Blog also, George said it's a big book. It's a lot. He's got a lot to write. There are people, as you mentioned, Old Town, things are happening. Dany's way far away. Young Griff is marching, possibly going to meet Mace Tyrell in the field. So there's a lot that is happening, and we have a long way to go, and I don't really know. I think that is exactly what he's realized, and it's going to take quite a bit of work to get this kind of wrapped up and where we want it to be. So, but no, Lady Liz, thank you very much. That was awesome. Good Raven.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, as that is our show for today, guys, we are beginning to plan out maybe a next Zoom hangout, maybe a Raven's Nest. Stay tuned. They're coming. We do have some free weekends coming up here, so we will get that going. And as I have some other Patreon things we're talking about.
Yep.
Because there's good news out there. Maybe we might be going to some conventions next year. Okay, they might be happening. They might. If they do, stay tuned. We'd love to hang out with you guys.
That's right.
So with all of that, we want to thank you for playing the Game of Thrones. In our next episode, we will be discussing Chapter 40, Daenerys 3 of A Clash of Kings.
If you like our podcast, don't forget to subscribe, like us, write a review, leave a comment, or send us a raven at btkcast@gmail.com.
We will see you in a week, and remember that winter is coming.